malt and beers. It's a more cheerful mood this week. I might have 2 drinks again, but if I do, it'll be celebratory. Because Buffalo is now 14-2 all time against Temple or something insane like that. If you didn't watch the game, go back and watch the replay. I don't feel like it was as lopsided as the score indicated, but we'll talk Temple. We'll look at Miami of Ohio coming up, and we're supposed to have a CT Bull come join us who won Brewpeg last week. We'll see if he joins. If so, we'll do the Brewpeg picks a little early. If not, we'll just do them at the end of the show like always. So joining me are Zach and Matt. Robbie is busy being a grad student and keeping the NKU athletic department running. Kevin is now working the night shift, so he's living the late life. So the three of us get to revel in beating Temple, which aside from Ohio, I think to me is the most important team in college football to beat. Am I wrong on that? Is there anyone else in the conference or elsewhere that you hate more than Temple?
Going back to just my True Blue days and the rivalry with Akron, I always just love beating Akron in any sport, but I don't think it's necessarily a football thing. I just like when Akron fans are sad because they were pretty ruthless to us. Yeah.
I agree with. I mean, I definitely do not like Akron, but I don't even think of them when it comes to football. I think that a Temple win is as satisfying as an Ohio win for me, and short of short of Khalil Mack not getting called for hands to the face against Ohio State, when he forced the fumble that would have put us up in the third quarter, or something like that, short of like a legit ranked win that will be program changing. I'll always see, Conrad says it too on Twitter, give me Temple in Ohio and everything else is fine. And I think I'm on that boat too.
If we don't win a bowl, it's like we win a bowl, it's an awesome season. And we win those 2 games, it's a really good season, and nothing else matters. Yeah, I popped over to UB fan a little bit during the week, and I saw that what's his name, JGH22 or whatever, back from when Temple's in the MAC days, popped in and got
Patrick Harris.
And just completely disappeared. Oh, MH55, that's right. Completely disappeared, just gone. And I don't think we see Temple again, right? This was just a 1-1. It wasn't a 2-for-2, was it?
I don't think we currently have them scheduled in the future, but
I don't think they're going to want to schedule us because I think this is not our peak year, and we just kind of wrecked their out of conference season. So,
go ahead. Sorry? No, I was just going to get off topic. Yeah, we don't have a game with them scheduled now.
Okay. Well, we should schedule them because apparently, if Jeff Quinn is not coaching the team, they can't beat us. Right? That's kind of the rule. Because Temple made Jeff Quinn look silly every time we played them. Lance Leipold's own Temple. What are you going to do? So let's talk about the game. I said briefly in the introduction that the score, especially the score going into the fourth quarter, looked a lot more lopsided to me than the game felt. Certainly early in the first quarter, there was a brief moment when I thought the game was over, and that's when Temple picked up the ball and had to have like a 140-yard run back and breaking 6 tackles after the fumble for the touchdown. Thankfully, Patterson's arm was down, and it was called back. And UB then, let's hit the first highlight of the game. UB then kicked a 53-yard field goal?
Mm-hmm.
And it was Balter. 52. And it was Balter. I can't imagine why we made that change. McNulty was doing pretty good, but I'm not going to complain with the results.
Yeah, no, I in the stands, I was pretty sure it was McNulty, but I just find it hilarious that it's Balter because I think I had looked into it a little bit more. I thought he decommitted from Temple, but I think he was committed to Temple, and then the new staff with Rod Carey came in and they basically said that they didn't want him. So then he comes to Buffalo and starts nailing 50-yarders when they didn't look comfortable to take 25-yarders. So that was pretty satisfying.
And this is a little inside joke for Bull Run fans here. We have a Reardon snapping to a Balter to kick field goals, so peace in our time is possible. But I mean, we still saw McNulty doing the kickoffs, and I think that's a kind of good way to split it, especially given in the fourth quarter when Temple finally got to return a kickoff. We saw that is still not the strength of UB's game, is defending kickoff returns.
To be fair, that kick returner is really good. Like, he was first team All American Conference last year as like a specialist returner. So, but I mean, the issue was giving him the ball at the 9-yard line to begin with. So
I'm enjoying the phrase "first team All American Conference." Like, if I were first team All American Conference, I would just describe the first team All.
That's what you put on the resume. First team All American.
I started to say All American, and then I was like, I got to put the conference in there as well.
So, anyways, after the field goal, things kind of they settled down. UB felt like at least they were going to play a decent game, and then a strange thing happened. Our defense stood Temple. I think Temple got one first down on the next drive, and then got stood up after that, and then the missed punt or the missed snap on the punt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of that game. Like a lot of the turnovers, a lot of the things were Temple execution problems. But to UB's credit, they finished drives, which is what they didn't do against Liberty, right? UB moved the ball against Liberty, had opportunities, and just left points on the field each and every time. This time, every time they were given a gift, they took it and opened it. So that's a good sign of maturity for the team. You know, we can't count on every team throwing 4 interceptions and fumbling the ball left and right. Penalties that Temple was taking.
Yeah, I go back and I think about the defense, and I don't necessarily think the defense had a great day, but there was only the long play before the long interception, and then one of the drives was kind of a 6, 7, 8 play, 60-some yards late in the game. And otherwise, I don't really remember any glaring things where it's like, oh boy, defense like really let you down there. But I do more than that. I remember the drop passes. I remember,
bad throws too, not just drop passes, bad throws.
Yeah, and none of those individually made me feel like, ooh, like that could have been a game changer. But on the whole, like it was a number of them. Like it definitely felt like Temple did not take advantage of what was there for them, and we finished drives when they turned the ball over, when their defense couldn't get off. When their offense couldn't.
6-minute drive. It was a 6-minute drive at the end of the second quarter. That was, and I meant to say this in the beginning. I think this was the best coach offensive game I've seen from the Leipold era.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It wasn't the sexiest game. You know, it wasn't Tyree making circus throws. There were no top 10 plays from UB's offense in that play that you'll see in ESPN. But as a whole, it was the best executed and coached drive.
If we have drives like that, like teams, a 3-and-out is bad news because a 3-and-out is always bad news. The defense has to go back on, but it means you're not touching the ball for another 4 or 5 minutes minimum. And that's if there are turnovers and there are mistakes in turnovers, and there's mistakes in not converting first downs, and we really were able to punish them for not being able to sustain drives. And that was really great to see. That's that old, I just love choking teams out with the run game. I really enjoy it.
So, Zach, I want to take something Matt said, and I want to run my thought by you on it. It was on the drop passes and the bad throws. Temple wasn't executing, but that being said, you were in the stands. I was watching on TV, so I just want to see both of our views line up. The coverage looked far better than I expected it to be. Against Liberty, our secondary looked lost. I mean, completely lost. Against Temple, there were times where Temple would have caught the ball for a first down and extended a drive, or there was a long throw here or there, or a bad pass. But I don't remember seeing our guys look completely glaringly out of place, like they didn't know what they were doing. They looked much better prepared in the secondary than they were the week before.
Yeah, I agree. Anthony Russo, the quarterback for Temple, given the hype that he had a little bit coming into this game, he definitely didn't have a great game. I thought he was pretty underwhelming, but you still have to give credit to the defense that they weren't I mean, Temple still has 3 really good receivers, and there weren't really any instances. There was a couple long touchdowns at the end of the game when Temple was in scramble mode and going for it on 4th down and all that. But really, they didn't let these receivers. I mean, like in warmups, there was like going through lines and just making these leaping one-handed snags with these, plus athlete receivers, and I was pretty scared. But while Russo didn't have a great game, the secondary was still in position to make those 3 interceptions, and they didn't bounce off their face mask or anything stupid. I don't think that Temple had a great game by any means, but the secondary was there, and they weren't getting exposed by these. That's probably about as good as a receiving core as you're going to see in the MAC. I haven't seen all the teams in the MAC yet, but I don't know that there will be too many that are better than what we just saw against Temple, and our secondary didn't get exposed. So
I think if Russo plays this game, it's closer. I'm not sure we win if Russo plays this game, but it's not the blowout I expected it to be. I mean, I think UB came in and played a very well-coached game, well-executed game, good discipline all around. But it's one of the what's the old thing you say? You got to play your perfect game and hope the other guys make a few mistakes when you play a team that's more loaded, and that's what happened. Buffalo played a clean game, and if they do that in conference, 6-7 wins can happen, right? And the problem is, is this a direct TV cable UB situation? Like, can they do that every week, or nearly that every week, or at least in the weeks that count?
Yeah, I mean, I think they forced 5 turnovers, which is not something that we can probably expect. But I mean, I don't know. Temple is probably about as good, maybe not quite as good as some of the teams at the top of the conference. Ohio's a little bit unclear at what they are. They've been a little bit underwhelming, but I don't know. We're not going to force 5 turnovers every game, but the way we melt time off the clock, as long as we convert on some of those scoring opportunities, we have a kicker this year that can ensure that we get at least 3 points, hopefully, if we're getting to the opponent's side of the field, which feels good. And I think the defense, I mean, maybe they're not going to get 5 turnovers, but I do think that they're capable of making some big plays when we need it against some better teams. And I don't know. It's been a big, seesaw roller coaster type of season so far. I don't know what to expect. Penn State, they had me high. Liberty, they had me low, and now I'm back high on the defense. Ladarius Mack looks good in the pass rush. Our front 7 looks good. So we'll see, but I'm back high on the defense again. And maybe we lost Tim. I'm not sure. He went black for a second. Oh, is Tim there?
No, you know the deal. Someone's having a late night snack at my house. They turn the microwave on, and my internet goes away. Comcast has been killing me all day. I actually have to work till 5 in the morning because I have to now go and make up my entire day's work because the internet would be up for 3 minutes and down for 3 minutes. And if you work in, back end systems like I do, you lose the internet for 60 seconds. You've just lost 30 minutes of work. There's no Control S to save your work when you're doing some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I caught most of that though.
Yeah, it was a little bit long-winded, but I think the moral of the story is I don't think we're going to get forced 5 turnovers a game, but they played well enough where I'm back to probably about where I was in the preseason that our front 7's going to force pressure.
Most of us were 2-2 at this point. Maybe Matt was 1-3 because he's a.
I was 1-3. I had us at 1-3 at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, I expected to beat Liberty, and I expected Temple. Now the thing is, Temple's weird and out of conference play. You look at what happened last year where we beat them, and then they went on a tear after that. Mm-hmm. And they're expecting it again this year. I mean, they beat a ranked Maryland team. Should Maryland have been ranked? Probably not. Are they a top 40 team? Probably. But I mean, Temple will be okay. That'll look like a good win for us later, hopefully. Once we beat them, I don't care how their season goes because they have to go the rest of the season knowing, yes, you came to Buffalo and lost again.
And at this rate, you probably won't see us for another 10 years looking at the schedules. So,
or longer.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if Buffalo can beat you with Rod Carey on the sideline, you're really screwed.
Yeah.
We never beat that guy. So, the other thing that popped out. So we talked, most of the game was the Patterson really said the play action run, and when they did the play action run for the touchdown, the second score, the second quarter, that's when my heart melted. That was finally, I've been waiting for Buffalo's read option run to do that. It seems like all year they've never actually used it, but they set it up. And then there was on the next drive, there was a third down pass completion for first down, which was, again, right off the play action. I think it went to Todd out in the flat, and no one was watching Todd. The play action sucked everybody in. So it seems like we see the key for Buffalo is if Patterson can run. I mean, he ran for 133 yards. He had one 26-yard carry, but other than that, it was all 4, 5, 6-yard carries. It was not like the days when we would watch Brandon Oliver drop 150 and he'd have like 80 yards of journeyman work and then like 2 40 or 50-yard runs. So this is a team. I don't know how much of that was Temple. I forget what the name of their middle linebacker who got ejected was, but he was their best linebacker.
Something Bradley.
Yeah. So I don't know how much that broke
Sean Bradley.
If we could do that against Temple, if we can run like that against Temple, we should be able to run like that against pretty much anyone on our schedule.
Yeah. I'm totally distracted now. Was Sean Bradley one of the NBA players who had his powers stolen by the aliens in Space Jam?
Yes.
All right.
The big man. I don't know how he ended up in that movie, but
sorry, I just really need to know that in this moment.
Bowls and beers and Space Jam, people.
Yeah, I was that Sean Bradley moment was one of those ones where you see it happen and say, boy, I really hope the run game really turns on and becomes a way to control this game now. And it did. And it just feels like whatever the opposite of deja vu is where you like kind of see it happening before it does. It was really satisfying the rest of the game until kind of those last 5-7 minutes of the fourth quarter were kind of rough to watch. But I was not paying close enough attention, but I saw a number of people mention that it seemed like it was more second team defense guys in at that point.
It wasn't the defense that concerned me. It was the special teams.
Yeah.
Do we have any word on how Antonio Nunn is? I mean, I saw he got hurt in the game. I haven't seen anything since.
I haven't done the injury post yet, so I haven't gone to look.
I looked at USA Today, and he's still not. I mean, USA Today is still only mentioning Fagan and Cowbell and the receiver that got hurt before the season. I can't think of his name.
Ruiz.
Yeah, Ruiz. I mean, so. But everyone was upset with. Everyone was upset with the special teams unit for Nunn getting hurt, and honestly, it was his own fault. Like, if he goes after that ball rather than tries to block, he gets tackled, but he doesn't get destroyed like he did. Whoever's coaching special teams needs to work on that because both of those were terribly covered onside kicks. You can't do a worse job than we did.
Yeah, special teams has always been one of my big concerns for pretty much the entirety of my UB career since I came to school in 2014. I mean, the kickers have looked decent this year. I don't know how much of that is coaching versus we just got people that can kick, but I don't know. Luckily, I think the college rule, or really just the football rules where they move kickoffs up and touchbacks have become more prevalent. Has helped us, to be honest, because our special teams used to be atrocious. I think that's been covered up a little bit with the fact that we're just booting it out of bounds. But yeah, special teams has been a concern for me.
Because it helps on the other side. We haven't had a really good return guy since Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since Ernest Jackson was like our last. He can.
Devin Campbell.
Campbell was okay. I mean, but EJ.
I wouldn't say he's really good.
You were ready for something.
Yeah, that's true.
We haven't had that. And so now that the norm in college football seems to be you're going to get it at the 25, you don't see that. Although we do see on punt returns, we're not doing a whole heck of a lot. But
we haven't done a whole lot in punt returns since Naaman, really.
Yeah. You go back to those. I mean, Gill. That's how he won his game: special teams and turnover ratios.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worry a bit about the execution on special teams. If either of those were onside kicks that mattered, I mean, Temple was down 28. Was it 28 or 35 points when they started kicking those?
Yeah, like
24
20.
points or something.
Yeah.
I forget what it was. But I mean, it was over. It was Temple was once we got a drive in the beginning of the fourth that ate enough of the clock. I think the UB took the ball with like 2 minutes left in the third, and I said in the game thread, I don't care if we get the points. I just want them to eat 5 minutes of clock, and that's exactly they ate the 5 minutes of clock and they missed the field goal, or no, they punt. They had to punt because they took the delay of game penalty.
I still don't understand what happened there. Like, it was so blasé. It was almost like they wanted to give more room for the punt, but they were within the range that Balter had demonstrated he had.
I know.
An hour earlier.
It was the weirdest thing. I was
really annoyed about the timeout before the fourth down play earlier in the first half, which I know a lot of coaches do, but I would have liked just to rush. If you're going to go for it, rush up there, set up, and do it. Don't sit there and try to call offside and then call a timeout. I'd rather you end up going for it no matter what, even if it takes you a timeout. I especially hate go up there, call for offside, call a timeout, and then kick. I don't like that at all. But it was like go up there and get the 2 yards and go and do it. But that one was more mystifying to me. But that delay of game call with what would have been a 48-yard field goal that became a punt that I think went to the end zone anyway.
Honestly, they still should have. I mean, at that point in the game, you're up so much.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the thing, though, was that where you were up by so much, it's going to take some stupid mistakes from us to let them back into the game. So no reason to give them potentially like another 20 yards of field position.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It just all felt very blasé to me in a way that was weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Was the tipped kick the 49 tipped kick? Was that after that drive? Right? Or am I confusing my football games?
Before. I think that one was before.
The missed field goal was tipped, right? They said that on the broadcast,
so it looked like someone got at the line, and it still looked good. Gosh, we got 2 great kickers this year.
Yeah.
One thing on the field goal turn punt, it was interesting that Balter actually did end up punting in this game, and apparently we're going to go with Kyle Van Treese, the long distance punter, and Balter, the finesse punter or something, because he took 2 punts and they were both around the same area of the field when we were trying to pin them back. And I guess, to Kyle Van Treese's credit,
he looked good.
He's improved. He had a 51-yard punt at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's, I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't recall ever seeing that, at least with a team that I would follow closely enough to notice that, that we essentially have apparently 2 punters now. So,
well, I mean, if you think about it, it might make sense because Van Treese has to ramp up as a punter. He hasn't punted since high school, and now by telling him, look, don't worry about corner kicks, don't worry about placement. We're just going to stick you in there when you can kick the ball 50 yards. It's less for him to learn and get used to.
Yeah, I'm not a punting expert, but Balter, I don't know what the technical term for it is, but the way that where punters like kind of drop it more vertically and it allows them to get the backspin on it when they're trying to pin them low. That was the difference. I don't know if Van Treese knows how to do that or what, but that's what Balter was out there to do, which was interesting. All right, so I just wanted to take note of that. But
look, I could talk about smacking Temple around. I've been at cloud 9. My wife left me in my little man cave to watch that game alone because I walked out. I was like, "Oh, time to go watch us get blasted by Temple. And I was like, go have fun." And I came up. She's like, "Oh, something good happened." Now there's only one team left on the schedule that I really hate, and that's Ohio. But before we go get them, we get to play Miami, and Miami is an enigma wrapped inside a riddle, wrapped inside a team that cannot put a whole season together. We all disagreed in our preseason picks about this game. Matt had Miami winning, I think.
Yeah.
I had Miami losing, and I was quite clear that if this game was in November, I don't think we beat them, but I think we could beat them early because Miami is just an incredibly slow starting team. And they look like it this year, but you have to run that through the filter of who they've played. If you don't know, Miami has played, was it Iowa when they were ranked number 20?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They played Ohio State, who's ranked in top 5 always. They played Cincinnati, who's not ranked, but is always a tough team, and they played them at Cincy. And then they played an FCS game. Was it Morgan State?
Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee Tech. Yeah, I'm trying to do this off my memory here. And they scored 54 points on Tennessee Tech. So you don't know, right? You don't know anything about who Miami really is at this point, because that's like UB had played Penn State 3 times and Robert Morris, right? We wouldn't know a dang thing about who we were. I will say that Miami has looked very good at times. If you read the story stream introduction, in all of those games for a not insignificant portion, Miami looked respectable. They were not getting blown out in the first half against Iowa. They led Ohio 5-0 through, I think, the first 3 or 4 series in Ohio State. And against Cincinnati, they were down, I think, 3 at the half. So the final scores look terrible in all of those games. But Miami can't even put a full game together, let alone a season. And to complicate things further for the Red Hawks, Ohio beat them. What was the final score in the Ohio State game? Was it
76-5?
76-5. Miami went up 5-0, and the game ended 76-5. They didn't just beat them up on the scoreboard. About half of Miami starters were unable to do the walkthrough on Sunday because they were so banged up, according to Chuck Martin, who might just be putting some gamesmanship out there, so we don't know who they're going to play. Their quarterback, what was his name?
Brett Gabbert.
Yeah, Gabbert. Thank you. And if I don't put this in here, I'll be ignoring what everyone else says. The brother of Tampa Bay's backup quarterback. He was pulled. He wasn't playing well. He was pulled for being injured in the second quarter against Ohio State. I suspect the injury picture for them is not quite as bad as it was painted. Let me find the headline here. Let me find the story I was reading here earlier. Unless I closed it, which I think I may have. Here it is. All right. From the Journal News, which is out of Butler County, more than half of Miami's starters did not participate in their walkthrough on Sunday night because they were injured against the Buckeyes. That's pretty serious. They were already missing 3 offensive linemen. So it's hard to know who we're even going to be playing at this point. But who is Miami? Miami is a team that has not been able to throw the ball really well. They're the team that is still looking for a running back. They have 20 guys have run the ball for them, significantly run the ball for them.
I've actually got that screen open right now. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different guys with at least 15 attempts.
Yeah, and drop it down to 10. I think it goes up to 6.
Oh, not counting the quarterback. So it's 5 with at least 15.
Yeah.
And then 3 more guys with at least 5. And those 3 guys all have. They've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 different guys with a long of 10 yards or more.
Yeah.
And by contrast, the receivers, they've only got 2 guys over 100 yards on the season so far.
And again, now a lot of this could be the class of teams they've been playing.
It could be.
It's hard to throw in Ohio State. And a lot of this could be, like I said, Miami, and I said this in the preseason, they just don't start playing football till October. Tell me I'm wrong. Every single year, they start 1-5 or 2-4. I don't remember the last time they started their first 6 games with a winning record. The year they won the division, they started 0-6.
That's right.
And they won their last 6 games.
That's right.
It has spanned coaches. It has almost spanned decades. So, are we gonna see first half of the season Miami or second half of season Miami? They're banged up. It's a home game. This could look like a draft game. Anything on that? We're staring at Ohio, who is having their own struggles right now. But we all hate Ohio. We all focus on Ohio. They are the favorite to win the conference, according to the media. Is Miami a trap?
I don't know if it's like a classical trap game, just because that was what people typically say are like, I feel like you're the significantly better team and you should beat them, but you might get, I don't know. It feels like, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but Miami, I think it should be. Their defense seems like it's pretty stout from when I was looking into my opponent overview. Their yards per play, like ranking in the nation, was significantly better than the amount of points they've given up. I think their offenses disadvantaged them, leaving them in some tough positions. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't know if it's going to be a trap game necessarily, just because I think kind of I don't know about ranking the Mackies, but I think Ohio might be a tier 1, and then I feel like we're kind of in that tier 2 with Miami. And I don't know if we can. I mean, I hope it's not a trap game. This is a game that we need to win against one of our biggest contenders for the Mackies. So, I mean, I guess you never really know when you see what we did at Liberty, but I don't know. I feel like I get long-winded in these answers. I feel like we should be the favorite in this game, and I hope that we don't overlook it. But after the Liberty game,
I think we're a
you never really
5-point
know.
dog, right?
So on my phone, so I'm looking at Action Network. I have it on my phone, and we're 2-point underdogs. And then I'm looking at their website, and it says we're 2.5-point favorites. So I don't know what's going on, but it's a pretty. It might as well be a toss-up game. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but
I mean, so Matt, what do you think? I mean, you had Miami winning this game, before the year. What have you seen from Buffalo or from Miami? Are you still there?
I haven't seen a thing from Miami. I don't know anything about Miami.
I did watch the Miami Cincinnati game. I will say that.
No, I was in San Diego for 2 Saturdays. Like
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Matt.
I do what I can. I, coming into the season, expected Miami to win because what I saw from them last year was a team that could go up and down the field and score. And what I saw from us was a team that was losing 8 starters off the defense. I watched Miami go up and down the field against Ohio. They went up and down the field against us, and we just managed to outscore them last year. If Miami had beaten us last year, if we hadn't held them off in the fourth quarter, they would have been in the MAC championship. And knowing our luck, they would have won. They would have eviscerated, Northern Illinois, and that's what it would have been. And so I was remembering that team, and I definitely am. I don't think that team is what we're dealing with right now for sure. I had paid no attention to what they had lost or who they kept or anything like that. I'm mindful of the fact, by Sagarin ratings, their strength of schedule so far is the 6th toughest schedule in the country. You consider they've got 2. I don't know where Iowa's ranked right now, but let's say 2 top 20 schools. And as we said, Cincinnati's no slouch. And even with an FCS team, it's still the 6th toughest in the country. And so it's tough to get a real good read on them, but I don't think they have the dynamic passing game that we saw from them. I would call what they did last year dynamic. I might be wrong. What we saw from them last year in the second half of the conference season.
We made a lot of passing games look dynamic in the second half last year.
True. But they did it against Ohio as well. They did it against other teams in the East Division. If they had that same passing game that scared me over the summer and last season, they would have been able to do a little bit more of that than what was it, 13 points against Cincinnati, points in the teens against Iowa. I'm still very torn just because I also don't know what to expect from this defense. I want to believe, but I think a coin flip is kind of where I'm at right now, which is high entertainment, at least.
They made a 6-minute run into the line, push it 4 yards drive look really fun last week against Temple. So Patterson and Marks are doing something else, and if they can do that, we'll win. I guess that's the key to it. Like if they can, we don't need the explosive runs. If we can ground and pound and make Miami try to beat us in the air, I think we win the game. I think I saw enough from our secondary to know that the talents are. You guys have been telling me all year, and I haven't believed it. Right? You've been saying all year, no, there's talents there in the secondary. I've been very down on them, but they really held their own against Temple, and Miami's not who they were last year throwing the ball. I mean, their offensive line isn't what it was. It's banged up. Beyond that, it's banged up. This could be a very good game, and if Buffalo wins this game, then I really start to get my hopes up.
Yeah,
that's where we are.
I mean, we were talking about this just in the Bull Run back channels, but like, can this team play as well as they did against Temple and in the first half of Penn State for consistently the whole year? Not sure, but if they do it for the next 2 games, they are sitting pretty.
Yeah, I know. In the next 2 games, I mean, our season turns in these 2 games because if we split them, if we win them both, and we go into the back of our season 4-2. Teams like Bowling Green, Akron, Kent, on our schedule. I mean, 7 wins should be expected. Eastern Michigan, I can't figure out. They're always tough, and people want to make fun of them because they were losing to an FCS team. But that was a weird game that got delayed twice during the game, and after the second delay, they came out and just looked awful.
So yeah, I feel. So to answer Matt's point, I don't think this is like even a semblance of the passing game they had last year. Gabbert is. I watched the first half of the Cincinnati game. He looked decent. Their whole team looked pretty good. But other than that, I found a stat that he was out of 114 qualified quarterbacks, he was number 106 in on target passes. Brett Gabbert, that is Miami's quarterback. So the way that the secondary made plays last week on Anthony Russo, who's a better quarterback than that. On some of his mistakes.
But Gabbert doesn't make a lot of stupid mistakes.
No, I think that's fair, but I just think I'm still super high on our front 7 as a whole. I think if Gabbert's even the quarterback, it's not even clear if he's going to be the starter. Just standing in against our front 7 as a freshman quarterback, I think they're going to be able to put enough pressure on him for some of our secondary to make some plays. I think this is going to be a super low-scoring game. And
now Patterson wasn't on the 2. I don't know what's up with that.
James Patterson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he missed the last game, which I didn't even realize when I was at the game. I saw it after the fact. And then Leipold just basically uses his 2 deep from the previous game as his 2 deep for the next game. So, I don't know.
We've definitely noticed that with Nunn and a few other guys that there's a 1-week delay when we know there's an injury and when.
Yeah, Bronstein had tweeted that he expects James Patterson to play. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Ladarius Mack has looked really good, 3 sacks, including the strip sack.
A bit like the big brother the past couple of weeks.
I can't get over that to get him on our team, Khalil Mack had to tweet about how much they were disrespecting the family.
I'm going to go back. Look, if you're watching this replay, or if you're one of the 2 to 5 people that are watching this live as I watch the numbers go up and down, I'll put a tweet out there later to the story. We as a site were really pissed when that happened.
I believe I wrote
more mad at a coaching staff than when you do something that forces Khalil Mack to call you out. And I always said, like, if Ladarius Mack was a cross country runner, we should have offered him a football scholarship.
If Ladarius Mack, exactly. If Ladarius Mack is a cross country runner, he can wrestle heavyweight for us. Like, I remember writing the article and I said, I don't care what the situation is. If it's gotten to the point where Khalil Mack is dragging you on Twitter to hundreds of thousands of followers.
That's not Khalil Mack either. I mean, Khalil Mack Yeah, he's not that kind of guy. He's
Like-
reserved.
It was evidence of something having already gone wrong. And there were people swirling saying, whoa, give us a chance. We haven't had a chance to offer him yet. It's like, you had a chance to offer him as soon as you offered Khalil. Like as soon as Khalil went drafted, you offer his brother. Like, you know, people are like, oh yeah, like
nephew who's doing really well in
Yeah.
pop order. Get someone down there. Right?
they just need time to make a decision. It was this like, no, they do not. And I just love, because I also will say that at the time I said, oh boy, like you take him, but I was like, I don't know about this guy. And as a captain, he impact turnover in our second biggest game of the season, you know?
That was the argument. You're right. The argument that people were making was, well, look, just because his last name is Mack doesn't mean he can play. And I can respect, even if I don't agree with the argument that said, look, you offer scholarships to the kids who are going to contribute, or like, but I don't agree with it. But I can respect it. But it's nice to see that they were wrong. That Ladarius Mack is really, as a pass rusher, just a complete terror.
Yeah.
So we went from Khalil Mack to Khalil Hodge to Ladarius Mack as being like our super scary pass rushers. It's kind of a nice transition. So, we'll need a big game from him. And I think he should get it because Miami's offensive line does not look particularly impressive. Their running game has, I have this terrible, like, not in my gut that they're going to figure it out against us. Because they haven't figured it all year, but damn it if they're not trying everything. I'm expecting the punter to get some carries next year. They've run everybody to try to spark that running game. And they're not as bad as their record. And we said about Gabbert, like, yeah, his on target percentage is bad, but I'm looking at 2 touchdowns against 2 interceptions against a couple of the best defenses in college football. So he's not going to do what Temple did for us. Right? He's not going to give us the ball willy-nilly with stupid throws.
I mean, I don't disagree, but just because I think the game was probably an outlier for Russo, but I think he came into the game with 1 interception. So I don't know. I think some credit has to be given to our defense. Like, I've been high on the front 7 the whole season. I need to look at how many sacks we had, but I don't know. I've just been super high. We had 3 last game. I've been super high on their ability to get pressure on quarterbacks. Our run defense, I think, is pretty solid. I just think that, maybe they do get it together, but he's a freshman just like Matt Myers, so maybe Matt Myers has just as much of a chance to, pull it all together and get this offense.
I think Myers has. I
plays
against Myers so far.
I look at the stat line that you highlighted, Tim, and I see a lot of Myers-ish things in it. I see a completion percentage around 50%. I see, roughly 6.5, yards per attempt. I see, fewer touchdowns, but I think it's notable that he's got fewer interceptions, but I see, I don't see a guy that looks all that different than what we've got in the passing game. Yeah. And again, didn't watch any games. Don't know anything about Miami other than what I can look up on a screen.
No, I think that's pretty accurate, which is why I just feel it's going to be a low-scoring game. Like, I mean, maybe they do put it together. I just don't know that I think their quarterback is a pretty limiting factor, and I do expect.
I always have a knot in my gut.
Yeah.
Except for Liberty, that should teach me something.
And their running game has just been atrocious. Let's see, what is it? 2.6 yards per carry, which I know it's against some of the top. A couple really good teams, but I don't know. I don't. Based on what I've seen so far, maybe they do put it all together, but even if that's the case, I don't know that their ceiling is that high that it's something that's like impossible for our team to overcome.
So the real key is, Matt, are you going to watch all 4 quarters this time?
For
my brew peg pick.
I will definitely be watching at least the second half. We have to go. Insurance company worked remarkably quickly. For our viewers, my wife hit a deer on her drive to work Monday morning,
To be
And
fair,
so
the
the-
dad was kind of a jerk and deserved it. But go on.
well, she hit it on a army land, so the MPs came to make sure she was okay, and then a bunch of them went running into the woods to try and find the deer for the conservation efforts. It's like, wow, okay. But
Conservation.
we were preparing, wilderness survival. We were preparing to be like weeks with only one car, and the little small town insurance company from Missouri, which I promise you all does connect, that's where she's from, like has turned around and told us, yep, like it's totaled, it's good, like. And so we're going to test drive things Saturday morning, and I may not be in at noon, but I will be in by 1. So
that's really important. The few times like when I told them when my minivan got totaled, like 2 years ago, it took me 5 weeks to fight them to a reasonable settlement. Somehow.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that saga.
Trashed them. Completely loaded minivan. Like, oh yeah, it's like a $4,000 van.
Yeah, see, we this is a 13-year-old Chevy Malibu that's already had extensive work, so I was kind of like, I think this is totaled. Like, I think this isn't even worth the hassle, and it is. And so I'm like, all right, good. And we were looking to upgrade soon, so it's nothing but the timing is a pain.
Some latch systems for those baby seats.
Yeah, we don't need to. We can keep that on the. We can keep that quiet. I'll be watching most of the game. We'll see how close to kickoff I actually get back in the house.
To let you all know why I'm concerned, we can track that the 6 quarters and 2 drives of UB football that Matt missed, and here they are: the second half of Temple, the entire Liberty game, and the first
Second half of Penn
drives
State.
of the Temple. I'm sorry, the first two the second quarter half of Penn State, the entire Liberty game, and the first 2 drives of Temple. That is the UB football Matt did not have his eyes on the TV. You are a good luck charm issue, Matt. It is on you. So okay,
Yeah, I was concerned.
Watching the second half of the game, I can tweak my brew peg accordingly.
I expect it to be more than that. I just don't know if it'll be where in the first half I'll get home.
So, and the thing with Miami is that the first half has been their stronger half all year. I mean, that's where they were given. That's where they were given Iowa their due. That's I mean, I shouldn't say that. They gave up 42 points to Ohio State in the second quarter. So I guess that kind of blows out.
The beginning of the game, maybe not the whole first half.
I kind of liked his quote pregame about it's like we're playing dodgeball in the schoolyard, and they got the first 85 picks.
That's a great quote. So Chuck,
I would hate it if my coach said it. I'd be like, "Come on, dude!" Like,
I know.
But just as like a fan of sports, I love it.
It's not quite that true because there's a lot of players who would rather go to a group of 5 school where they can play. You're not going to you are not going to enter the NFL draft if you've been sitting on the bench at Ohio State all 4 years. Sorry. Right, you're just not. You stand a better chance as a MAC wide receiver. I mean, Edelman was a average MAC quarterback. Athletic guy, and he's in the NFL. If he had went to, Texas or Notre Dame or wherever or Ohio State, he would have never saw the NFL. He wouldn't have sniffed the NFL. So it was a great soundbite. You're right, man. I never thought about that though. The players probably really didn't appreciate that.
I was reading something about. I think somebody talked to some of their players, and I think they basically were like, "Yeah, I don't think any of them had offers from Ohio State, so I don't think they took too much disrespect to it. I think they kind of felt the same way that they had been like slighted because being in fairly close proximity, they probably were in some of the areas that Ohio State recruited. I think they probably felt kind of the same way as what the coach said."
It's not quite as good as their basketball coach. Their coach used to put quotes out there, but maybe Martin has some hope.
Oh, Charlie Coles. Oh,
Coles was amazing, man.
The world is worse since he passed away. Everyone in the conference feels that way.
I don't like to like coaches from other MAC teams, but Coles was something else, man.
Coles and Sue Guevara from Central Michigan women's basketball.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss her. Great. She was good.
Yeah. And I got to be honest, I kind of like Bob Bolden at Ohio when he's not playing us. He has he's the Ohio women's coach. He's complained a lot about Felicia's zone defense and how it is too aggressive. It's like it messes up your post player year after year after year. I don't know what to tell you. But I like the way he talks about elevating Ohio and elevating MAC women's basketball. It's the type of thing that Kurt Miller, who was at Bowling Green Toledo and is now Connecticut's Sun, who made the finals this week. It's the type of stuff I want to hear from our conference that has historically done pretty well for a mid-major in women's basketball. Anyway, Charlie Coles is awesome.
We always got time for Charlie Coles at Bull Run.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are at the 49-minute mark. Okay, so we're gonna go to predictions real quick, and let me see if CT got back to us here because he said he was gonna be here tonight. I was all excited. Eric, you broke my heart, man. I was thinking, yeah, this is the week we get a guest on Bull Run, and he did not. He probably fell asleep. You guys on the East Coast are the real heroes. It's not even 11 o'clock for me yet. All right. So Matt, I'll throw you there. Predictions.
Okay. Yeah, I was coming into tonight thinking something similar to my last prediction, maybe tamp down the high end of the scoring a bit, but something, I'm thinking somewhere around 50 total points. And I kind of came in here, I said, mid-show, I was thinking coin flip. I wasn't sure if I trusted kind of what we saw yet. But this talk about the injuries, particularly the injuries in the trenches, is really kind of deciding factor here. I think I talk a lot about the run game. That's the thing about this team that's most appealing to me. But we've demonstrated that our front seven really can get into things. I was concerned about our run defense against Robert Morris, but we were consistently able to get into the backfield, I thought, against Temple. And so Miami's injuries have kind of, the way we talked about that has definitely swayed my opinion. I'm going Buffalo 26, Miami 21. I do want to note, I didn't get a chance to, Miami hasn't missed a kick yet this year, which is disturbingly un-MAC-like, and I think they'd better get on it if they want to stay in the conference.
They're saving it for us.
Saving it for us, I hope. But I'm going Buffalo.
Fair. How many kicks have they really tried? I mean,
a number, more than you'd think.
No, aside from Tennessee Tech, and I never count FCS games for anything.
I've got them at 5 field goals.
2 extra points at Iowa. 2 field goals and an extra point at Cincinnati, and 1 field goal at Ohio State.
I've got them at 5 field goals. A field goal against the FCS team is no different than a field goal against
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
You don't have Ohio State's front seven rushing to block that kick.
All right.
Things.
Well, it's a field goal.
This is Matt volunteering to try to kick a field goal against.
I think that he's 5 of 5 on field goals and 5 of 5 on point afters in 4 games is significant. And let's see if I can go back to his last year's stats and be even more sad. Last season, he was 10 of 13 on field goal attempts and 41 of 42 on extra points. He's a good kicker. That's unfortunate.
All right. So
anyway, 26-21
was a prediction, right?
26-21 Buffalo.
26-21 Buffalo. It's weird. You're sitting here praising Miami's field goal game, and you have them with 21 points.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns is 21 points.
Okay, so you don't think Miami will kick a field goal? Okay.
I think they'll either score or they won't be in range.
Okay.
He's not like Tony Danza from that movie. You gotta.
Zach, what do you got?
I think I'm going to go 20-17 UB. I think it's going to be real low scoring. I was debating going lower, and then I just remember that we gave up 10 points or whatever to Robert Morris, so I figured I should bump it up a little bit more. So I'm going to go to 2017. I just think we're so run heavy. It's not going to be a ton of drives. I'm not that confident in the Miami offense, and I think the defense showed really well last week. And I also think the Miami defense is the strength of their team, so I think it's going to be pretty low scoring.
I'm going to go 27-24 because I was going to go 27-21, but Matt's little discussion convinced me they got a really good field goal kicker. So I'm going to go 27-24. That being said, I'm very nervous about this game because I don't, and basically because to me Miami's an unknown quantity right now. This is I think Buffalo is their show me game for the season, right? I think this game means a lot more to them than it does to us. Not that it's super critical for us. We just said that if we win this game, this is huge for our season. But if Miami loses this game, they're at 4 losses and they haven't even hit the halfway point of the year yet. All right. 3 things Tim learned. I learned that small insurance places out of Missouri do better for you than Progressive, who made me fight on the phone for months to get the proper value for my car. I learned Miami has a kicking game which might get them kicked out of the match. I had no clue that they were that solid. And what's one other fun thing we all learned today?
I don't know. I don't know if I have one off the top of my head for you.
I'm supposed to be writing these down through the day to the show.
Miami's QB is the brother of Tampa's backup.
I learned that in particular I have to work the first half of the game because Matt might miss some of that while he's out looking for a car. So most of my learning today revolved around Matt and some poor unfortunate deer being hunted down by the Green Beret.
Oh no, these are red berets. It's a air group. Yeah, it's very different than the hospital setting in DC. That base in DC was almost all hospital, and there is a hospital, but there's a lot of 19-year-old kids running around and
with pointy things on the ends of their gun, hunting deer.
Pointy things on the edge of the gun and a hat that covers half their face. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Brewpeg winners always invited to come on. Have a great week. Let's hope we're talking about going 4-2 next week against Ohio. Talk to y'all later. This is the part where we wait for the broadcast to end.